Welcome back to Story Adventures. Our adventures here in the garage. We're going to be working on the 2017 1000. We've got a axle boot that got torn off. Actually, not really torn off. Had a rope wrapped around it, pulled off the actually outer cup. We zip tied it back on the trail and got us back going for the day. So today, what we've got to do, we've got to pull both side tires off. All right. Then we got to pull the lower shock, the lower sway bar bushing bolts. We got to do the trailing arm through bolt for that shaft. We got to pull it, and then we can pull that axle. We're going to check and see if that boot is compromised in any way. If it's not, then what I'll do is I'll put more grease in. I've got a package of grease. I'll clean it out, put grease in there, and put a new band on it. Then I'm going to grease that wheel bearing, grease this wheel bearing, and then I may proceed up to the front to do, not only that, I'm going to grease the U-joints back here, grease the sway bar bushings, sway bar, all those. Then do the sway bar bushings up front. Put y'all on time lapse and y'all enjoy. Hopefully this helps. If I get to a spot where I think, somebody might need help, so this will really help somebody that's never done it, or just give them the confidence to do it themselves. I'm gonna stop, come back in, talk, whatever, show y'all what bolt or what nuts go where, what bolts go where, what sockets to use, when to use wrenches. Hey, and also there might be a spot where you might need some help. It goes a lot easier if you've got help, but then again, we might just do it ourselves and fight it a little bit. So here's to that. Enjoy watching, like, subscribe, comment, share, and let's get this done and get this thing back on the trails. Thanks, guys. All right, these are going to be 15 millimeter for your sway bar bushing there, sway bar length, and for the shock, it's going to be a 15. We'll pull this off. This will be the axle nut. Can't really remember what that one's going to be, but once I get to that, I'll come back in, let y'all know. Same with this one. I'll let you know on that one too. I'm going to go ahead and get these pulled off, and so y'all can see that and go from there. I like to put the nut back with the bolt that it came with. It helps out. Get this cotter pin out. And I'll be able to tell y'all what socket that is. It's gonna be the 27 millimeter for your axle socket, or axle nut, sorry. Alright, so that's out. Make sure you keep up with your washer. Get that off just yet. We can go ahead and bust the brake. I forgot about that. You gotta take the brake caliper off. It's 15 mil. I can get this off so I can get to where I can grease that axle. And it looks like we need pads. I think I've got a set of pads in the closet over there for this, so we'll go ahead and change out pads on this. Get that changed out. So next we need, on this next one, you're gonna have to put a wrench on one side of this, okay? So it goes all the way through. It's 15/16. So I'm gonna get my socket out. for 15/16. And I'm gonna we'll get the socket right here. You can see I evidently have never put that one back, or it fell out. All right, so this side, we're gonna put this right here. We're gonna go nice and easy, and it's gonna turn and hang up on the trailing arm. And then we'll go from there. Same thing here, 15 mil, 15 mil. And then the 27 millimeter, pull your cotter pin, do the 27 millimeter. That comes out, there's a button, that comes out, and then push that through on the other side. Then you pull this one out. That should be through this trailing arm over here. Okay, that should be through this trailing arm over here. We're gonna lift this out of the way. We're gonna work this. Man, have to. There we go. All right, see if we can get this in before look the boot over everywhere. While I'm at it, I'm also going to go ahead and change the fluid in the diff. Looks like we're good there. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to cut the zip tie off. We're going to see what everything looks like. Inside here. Oh, yeah. That's pretty nasty. We got grass in there. We got all kinds of stuff wrapped in there. So I am going to pull this axle to get it all cleaned up. We got to get all this grass out. It is going to be a nasty, nasty mess. But everything else seems to be working good. The grease did its job, I think. But we're going to get this all cleaned out and get it changed out. This axle out. I also got a new seal in the rear diff to go right in. Right there. So we're going to pull that one out, change it out. I'm going to put anti-seize on this because it's starting to seize up a little bit. So we'll get it cleaned up. And then, all right, for that seal right there, we're going to pop that out of there. Part number is going to be, let y'all get a look at that, 7055015556. And that's going to go right there. So we're going to take our little tool here. And since we're just going to pop that right on out of there. So that seal's no good anymore. Then with this one, I'm actually clean all that out. Yeah, we definitely need to get some anti-seize in there on that stuff. It's starting to seize up. We don't want that. And we're also going to change the diff fluid on it. But we definitely need to get the U-joints greased. Since we do a lot of mud and water riding, grease all those guys. Grease is your friend, helps longevity and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one ready and set up to go back in, get the trailing arm off. So this comes already with a little bit of grease in there. I like to put more grease. Grease is your friend. It's a lubricant. It is what it is. It helps out. It helps keep moisture out. Everything else. I like to use marine grease since we are going to be riding in the mud. And so I just put a little bit on my finger, and then I just lube this all the way up, all the way around. Get it right in that ring, all lubed up. Gonna hurt it. Potentially it's gonna help it. And that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to make this stuff last as long as possible. The grease will help from wearing out that rubber and putting a ring on your, wearing into your axle shaft. So then once I get that in there, get my old trusty dead blow. I'm gonna take a big socket and I'm gonna tap this in there until it's seated all the way around evenly. You hear that smack? So that's seated on one side. Now we need to get this other side seated. And go all the way around with it. Make sure it's all seated all the way evenly. This side's still not quite there. Right there is nice and evenly seated. Like I said, I'm gonna put anti-seize right there. We'll clean that up a little bit. You can see how it was wearing. That groove right there, we don't want it to be too much of a groove. So I'm gonna get some emery cloth, clean that all up, polish it up, and then we're gonna go at this axle, because it looks like it might have some rocks and stuff in it, so we'll have to take it apart, which is gonna be fun, you know. All right, I'm gonna have to save that. I gotta go to a place with the vise so I can hold that in and get it done. All right, so I'm about to put y'all on time lapse. I'm gonna grease all my bushing fittings, and I'm gonna grease this. Hold on, I'll show you the tool that I use on this. I believe it's a Machine Integrations wheel bearing greaser or Can-Ams, and that is 30mm DA. Let's see, the part number is MIBGP 1516. I don't know if you need all that. The 1920-1702 /30/34. But you can go to Machined Integrations LLC and you can find those. Literally all you do, we're going to clean this out a little bit, get that shit out of the way. All right, we're going to check that. We're just going to pop that in there real easy. Okay, we're going to take our grease gun, pop that in there, and then we're just going to pump it full of grease. And then I can hear the water getting pushed out of there. Oh, you can see the water coming out. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this out so it's out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bust this one loose, take the cotter pin off, pull that, and I'm going to pull this and get those two. Get the trailing arm off so then I can grease this one, and then I can put this side back together. So I'm going to put y'all on time lapse for that. All right, so I got the new boot on this one. Got it all cleaned up last night. So it is ready to go. All I need to do is put some anti-seize on teeth on that. So, and shove it back in, and then get this side back together. And once this side's back together, I'm going to change diff fluid and transmission fluid. I may video that, I may not, but I'm gonna put quite a bit of anti-seize on here because this thing was already starting to get rusted up. All right, so there's the anti-seize. Got it on there. I'm gonna take this. I'm just gonna find it. That's seated in there. And let's see. We'll get the trailing arm back up in there. Gonna be the bolt and nut for the shock. It's the shorter one. Put some more anti-seize on that. Be mindful if you pull both side axles, one side's shorter than the other one. I believe it's the right side's the short one, and the left side's the long one. So be mindful of that when you're doing it. And this side's about to be back together. So I'm gonna go to time lapse. It's literally just gonna be tighten up, tighten up, tighten up, tighten up, and put your cotter pin in. I've got to get that pin right there out, so then I can change those brakes out, because those are done. Mud riding, you go through brake pads. These, I'm gonna bet you, after this one little ride for 3 days, these will be gone. They just, mud gets in the holes, and and the sand, and it just wears them out. So it'll do it to all of them. The best ones I've found so far for me that have held up the longest are just stock XMR brake pads. But I would like to try a set of brass brake pads at some point. So I'm gonna go to the time lapse and finish this up. to refill your front diff, you want to make, or your, sorry, rear diff, not front diff. When you go back to refill your rear diff, you want to make sure that you do exactly how much it calls for. So the rear diff calls for 250 milliliters of 75 140. If you go over, you run the risk of causing yourself to have issues with the seals actually leaking because of it. So you want to make sure that you're doing no more than 250 milliliters. A lot of people think, oh, you're supposed to do it till it comes out the top, but it's not. So I've got this funnel here, and it actually tells you how many milliliters and all that. So that's the way I do it. We're gonna get this in here, and we're gonna get this filled up and ready to go for the ride.